This is J. Krishnamurti's third discussion with students in Amsterdam, 1967.
What shall we do in a meeting like this? Do we ask questions and discuss? You all speak English, of course.
Yes.
Yes? So, how shall we start this?
Well, I think that we would like first to hear you with several things.
What would you like to hear?
Can't you
Oh.
give a short introductory talk?
About what? Wouldn't it be better if you ask questions and make it into a discussion?
Well, if there are questions.
Mr. Krishnamurti, can you tell us something about the possibilities to reach what you call happiness and freedom? How to find yourself, how to find the truth in yourself?
That's rather a tall order in a few minutes, isn't it? So what is freedom? Is freedom from something? Is that actually freedom? Freedom from, let's say, what? Nationalism, freedom from violence, freedom from anything from, is that actually freedom?
Can't be freedom.
No, can't be, can it?
Well, it's part of it, in a way.
Is it part? Is it part? Is freedom partial?
Yeah.
Then, how can it be freedom if it's partial?
Well, there are some degrees of freedom.
And so it's a matter of degrees, which is partial.
Mm-hmm.
Can freedom be ever partial? Can I say to myself, I'm partially free? I'm free here, but the rest I'm caught. Which is not freedom at all.
Why not?
And it's like a prisoner walking in the yard, in the court, and calling that freedom. The rest of the time he's in prison. And in the court, where he walks freely, that's also part of the prison.
Yes, but still he has the freedom to choose out of two alternatives to walk in the court or to sit in his cellar. He can choose. So
But he's still in the prison. He may choose to say he'll walk in the yard or not walk in the yard, but he's still in the prison. So are we considering freedom as a partial affair, as a fragmentary moment, or freedom total?
Well, I mean, in your way of thinking, there can't be freedom at all.
No, sir. Wait a minute, no. On the contrary. I think there is we are conditioned, and we are the result of a social, psychological structure. We are the result of the animal, and so on. Until we free ourselves from that, there is no freedom.
But can we reach the total freedom? Or are we so bound to our social society that we never can reach that, only that partial freedom?
I think one can reach it.
But you are still bound on the earth. I mean, you can.
So look, therefore we must begin to differentiate the bond, the physical necessity, and psychological freedom.
So,
One overflows into the other. Psychologically, we create the bondage in which we are caught. Take the social structure as it is throughout the world, under different frameworks, but it is based on man's psychological states. Envy, greed, violence, competition, snobism, and so on. That is the actual social structure. We have created it. In that we are caught. Now, can man be free from that? I can't be free from the organization of milk distribution. I must have milk. I can't be free from that. Or puss.
but you have to have structures anyway.
I said that.
Is it not our destiny, to belong to that structure?
Who? Destiny?
Yeah, that we are bound to that. And
Why
we
should-
can't
why
lose
should-
ourselves from that.
Why should we be bound to it? Why should I, born in India, with a tremendous culture of India, 10,000 years and more, why should I be caught in it?
Because you are born in that.
But why can't I get out?
That is only the way from self-destruction.
I wonder how we are using the word freedom. And look, sir, born as a Hindu, you born as a Dutchman, with all the culture you have, with all the culture the Indian has, that is the culture of religion, education, family tradition, the racial inheritance, all that he is and all that you are. Can't we? Is it not possible for the Indian to free himself and for you to free himself from the psychological structure?
Why? Does one have to?
Why? It's very simple. Because man has lived in a state of violence.
That's not part of the culture.
It is.
It is part of the culture.
Well,
So break from it. It's part of the culture in the Christian world or in the Hindu world to believe in God or not to believe in God. Why accept it? And if we say, no, we cannot get out of this structure, then you will have wars everlastingly. You may not have physical wars, because of the atom bomb and so on, but you might have other kinds of wars, psychological warfare.
sure, I think
So the actual society in which we live now is anarchistic. Yes.
Do you mean is anarchistic? Anarchism doesn't that mean that the social structures are completely gone, or at least?
But it is, isn't it? There is, in the social structure, there is great disorder. The highest disorder is war.
No, it's part of the structure.
Which is that part of the social structure which is chaotic.
Well, it's chaotic in destroying people, but it's not destroying structures. On the contrary, it can settle structures.
Yes. But what is more important, the people or the structure?
Yeah, that's.
I
I mean, it's,
Depends.
And it can't depend. Man is more important than the frame around which man is put, into which he is put. Look at communism, what's happening in Russia. Man, they said this is the framework man must live in, right? The ideology of Marx. And they have forced him to live in that. And he's breaking it.
But our free will does exactly the same. So.
Is there is there such thing as free will?
There is no, well, I mean, they call it free will.
No, I don't know what they call it is very little importance. Is there such thing as free will? Are you free to use your will?
Pardon?
I mean, free to exercise your will?
No, not at all.
No. So man is not free, caught in this social structure. Therefore, is it possible not to break it? Break this social structure. Psychologically, not, you follow? Because the inward state is much more important than the outward state.
Well, I doubt.
Huh?
I mean, the inward state is influenced by the outward state.
And the outward state is influenced by the inward state.
Of course. So,
Both.
I mean, you can't say you have to change at first the inward state and after that the outward state will follow. You can also say, well, when you break first the outward state, then the inward state will follow.
This never has happened in history. It's always happened from the inward to the outer. That's what they're proving in Russia.
Well, with force they changed the outward state.
That which is the same thing. So that forcefully they brought a revolution and trying through force to change man.
And well, you can't say that the people of Russia didn't change at all.
We're not talking change. Of course they had changed. They would have changed under Tsar.
And it is possible that their changes, they did come from the changed outward structures.
No, sir. They changed the outer structure through revolution, through an ideology, and man was forced to accept that ideology of authority, of all the rest of it, state worship, and man is now revolting against it.
But what are, in your opinion, the consequences of the inward changing of the inward structure? What will change in the world and in the social structure when you change yourself inwards?
I don't think we can discuss this matter. What will be the result if you and I change? What matters is, can we change? Then we will produce something entirely different.
Well, and we are here to come to listen from you if we can change. Can we change?
Can we change? Of course we can.
And in what way then?
That is the whole question, you see. But first, somebody said it is not possible, you see. Can we, as human beings, the human mind, which is the result of thousands of years of conditioning, you as a Catholic, you as a Hindu, you as a whatever it is, can that change? And how does that change come about? And who is the entity who brings about that change? Right? If the entity is the same as before, I don't know if you're right, then what he changes into is still the same. No?
But you said that all people have to change themselves into themselves. And in what? You said all the people have to change themselves in what?
Sir, no.
And
So look, it's much more complex problem than that. man has lived as we live now for thousands of years. Inwardly there is no progress. Outwardly there is tremendous progress. Inwardly we are what we have been, killing each other.
Yes, but isn't it also a human thing that
to kill each other?
the man quite alone is not a complete man?
No, we're not talking of being alone, sir. You and I are the result of history, of tremendous culture, of acceptance of disorder, acceptance of war, as a way of life. Huh? Now, you mean to say we can't change all that? If you say we can change, then who is the entity that's going to change it? I don't know if you see the problem.
And you mean the engine who is...
No, the entity, the person.
Well, it's not a person who's going to change the whole society. It's
It must begin with you and me, not a whole lot of us.
no. Well, I won't say that it begins with a certain person. That's not necessarily true.
No, sir. It must begin. Where will it begin?
Well,
With X. With somebody it must begin.
Or is there an idea?
Huh?
Or is there an idea to which we must go in?
Idea. Now, sir, look, I don't know. First, let's go slowly, step by step. There is this society of which you are a part and I am a part. So, you are not different from society. Interrelated.
yes.
You created this society, and the society has caught you in it. And you say, I must get out of this.
Why?
Why? That's very simple. Do you want to live in disorder?
No, but no, I want to live in society anyway.
But society is in disorder,
Well, so clean up the disorder, but
which is yourself.
of course, yeah.
So don't, you can't clean up this society without cleaning yourself.
Oh, that's true.
But that is a question of way of thinking of the human being. You can say we human beings are in principle good men, and you can say we are as human beings are we living in a big paradox. So there's the good and there's the evil.
So which is contradiction, isn't it? We are living in a society in which there is contradiction, war and peace. Peace is not peace at all. It's a continuance of war. Right? You may not have hot war, that's shooting off guns, but we are at each other's throat.
Yeah.
You want my job and I want her job. You are envious of me and I'm envious of her, which is war. So, seeing that, how do we change and who is the person that's going to change, bring about this change? And this,
Is it possible to change?
why do you ask that question, sir, if I may ask?
No, I ask it myself.
Is it possible to change? Right. If you have a motive to change, you understand? A motive.
Yeah.
Is that change?
Don't understand.
Yes?
He doesn't understand your question.
He doesn't answer my question. I have a motive to be peaceful. You understand? Motive.
Yeah. Yes, I understand.
To live at peace. Is that peace if I have a motive?
No.
Huh?
I
No.
don't,
No. It's not peace, is it? So if I have a motive to change, then it is not change. Right?
No. Yes, I understand.
So is it possible not to have motive at all?
But I don't understand what you want to say with that.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? That's look, I want to change.
Yeah.
I see I am a human being. This human being has created this society, and this society is me. In this society there is war, there is hate, battle, all the time. From the moment I am born till the moment I die, it's a battle.
Yes.
I want to change it, which is in myself first.
Yes.
Now, how am I to change? Where is the energy with which I have to change? I don't know, you follow?
Yes, yes.
If I have a purpose in changing,
Yes.
then it's no longer change.
It's,
Als ik een reden heb,
ja.
een reden om te veranderen, dan is het geen verandering, maar dan is de reden geeft het in.
You should make more clear what you mean with change.
Ah,
It's not at a superficial level.
yeah, look. Either we change at superficial level, or at the most profound level, at the root level. Wait a minute. Take an example. At the root level, we are violent people. Human beings are violent at the very root of our existence.
Yes.
Because we have inherited the animal and so on, so on, so on. At the very base of our existence is violence. Outwardly I may have laws which prevent me from being violent, but inwardly I'm violent.
Who is saying that?
Huh?
Who is saying that?
And nobody needs to say that. I know it and you know it. Nobody has to tell me I'm violent. I see it. I want your job. I want your wife. I want your more money. It's a battle.
But is it the base of our life to be
Isn't it?
that wild?
Isn't it? I
Is
want
it
more.
nothing that is in relation between the good and the wild? That we are
Sir,
living
now, right,
in this
what,
paradox.
then now, right, what is good and what is evil? Why do we call it paradox? The fact is, I hate you, and also I like him. So in me there is like and dislike. This contradiction. Right?
Yes.
It's not a paradox, it's a fact. I am in a state of contradiction. And therefore, where there is contradiction, there is conflict. Right?
Yeah.
Huh?
But is this conflict, is that basically wild?
Basically,
Violent.
Means violent.
all conflict is violence. Which means conflict means no peace.
So we must break up with the whole contradiction here.
And that's just it. So is it possible for a human being to free himself from society? Psychologically, you understand what we're talking about. Not to be violent. Is it possible? Not partially, not on the surface, but totally right through it.
I can understand that you say we we must free ourselves from this contradiction which is in ourselves.
All right.
But now you say we must break up with the whole society.
I
Is-
didn't
is to be the
say that.
same.
I didn't say that, sir. I didn't say that. I said, we are the society. In us, this psychological structure in us has built a society. And in that psychological state, there is contradiction. Right?
Yeah.
That contradiction is shown when there is conflict. Conflict in myself is an indication I am at war with myself. No?
Still, I disagree with you in the way of influencing. I agree with you that man makes society, but on the other hand, society makes man. The psychological structure is influenced in any way by the social structures which were made by man.
So society and man are interrelated. They are not separate.
No.
Therefore, to bring about a change in society, it must begin with the human being.
No, I think it can begin by the human being, but because the relation between human being and society is completely interrelation, when you want to change, it's not only necessary to begin in your own psychological structure, but also in the social structure.
All right, granted.
You begin with the computers.
Huh?
You begin with the computers.
Yeah.
When they change, we will change too.
Pardon? What has computers to do with social structure?
External influence.
Wait. Huh? Who is to begin the change in society?
It has to be a human being.
Huh? I'm asking, who is going to change the social order? Human beings. And have they changed?
Well, they first have to change.
Well, you can change in some way, partially, and change the society partially, and then society influence.
All right. So you are saying there can be partial order and partial disorder. Huh? Can the two exist together? Huh? Then it.
Well, I think when
wait, sir, look what you're saying. War and peace can exist together. And that's how we have lived.
But you said that in history you can't see any change of man.
Yes, go ahead, sir, yes.
And
deeply, not, I'm talking, not superficial.
When you look into the social structures and you look into the movements of man, you see some change. And
oh yes, nobody denies that.
I mean, for example, a movement of pacifism would be...
I agree, sir. Superficial, those are all superficial.
I mean, when you say you have to change profoundly at once and then change the whole society, well, I say you can, from the superficially, just go downwards.
Yes, sir. It must be an action from both ends. From the human, from the social order. Right? Now, who is going to change the social order?
Yeah, the human being.
Which means what? The human being who is concerned with profound changes. Right? Now, are there such human beings who are profoundly interested in this? Or are human beings only partially interested in this? Therefore, to bring about social order a human being must profoundly change, and in changing he brings about a social order too. That's all.
Yeah.
And then I think you can never create order in society because there are never enough human beings.
I agree. I agree.
So is there any use in just some people changing?
So, as society cannot be completely at peace, ever, few human beings can be, and perhaps they will affect society.
But not enough. Never.
Maybe. So, for the time being, say, let's leave society alone. Let's concern with the human change. You understand, sir?
Isn't that too egoistic for a profound change?
Because
Isn't that too
Too self-centered.
is it self-centered to be concerned with bringing about a change in himself? Is that what?
when you are sure that you can only change yourself and just a few people, isn't that a little bit too self-centered?
Is that selfish? Is that the question?
Yes.
Now, that's why I said, what is the motive of this change? If the motive is selfish, then the change is selfish. Then it's no longer change.
So if you want to change, for a change, you are, per definition, concerned with society. And you are not only concerned by your own psychological structure.
I said, look, sir, I said society and the human being are interrelated. It's a movement. It's a unitary movement, right? And to bring about a change in that unitary movement is to bring also change in society. It isn't me first and society second, or society first on me. It's a movement.
Yeah.
So, is it possible for me to profoundly change? That's the real question. You follow, sir?
No, it's not.
Huh?
When you that question is not. When
to change society without egoistic motives.
What's that?
There isn't a movement to change the society
No,
without...
I didn't say I must change society. You follow?
Yes.
I said in bringing about the change within myself, I also bring in a change within the society. It is not a separate movement.
No, but from the moment that I want to
change
myself and also society, from the moment that I have changed myself and I want to change the society, I want the society change to the pattern I have.
Right. Therefore, I said that.
Yeah.
Therefore, I say, what do we mean by change? And what is the motive that makes me change? Those are the two things involved. What do we mean by change? Is change according to a pattern? If it is, it's not a change.
Why not? Why is...
Wait, sir, look quite why not? How is pattern created? Who creates the pattern?
That's the man. So
Huh?
that's man.
Man, which is what? Your background. Huh? Your background creates the pattern. Huh? Watch it, listen to it carefully, you will see. My background creates the pattern. And I say I must change to that pattern. Have I changed at all? When I my background has created the pattern.
You mean the background has created the pattern
To which I wish to change.
Yeah. And because it's your background that created the wistful pattern, it's no change at all.
Oh, quite right. So is there a change without pattern?
Will it ever be possible to live without wanting to change? I mean, like you really have no more intention to change yourself, but just... I mean, is it ever possible that you can finish this, or will you ever be trying to change into something?
I mean, we all want to change.
Yes, well...
I want to be a little more intelligent, I want to be a little more beautiful, I want to be a little more this or that. So, first we must find out whether we are changing according to a pattern, or rather, adjusting ourselves to a pattern, and which is not change. And then, what is change without a pattern? So look, the Russian Revolution, or the Communist Revolution, was a revolution according to a pattern. And they forced man to comply to that pattern. And man is breaking from that pattern, as the French Revolution.
But having the concept of letting each human being have his own pattern, is that concept not a pattern itself?
Of course. So therefore we must find out if there is a change without pattern at all. And to understand that, we have to inquire into the question of why we want patterns at all.
Or is it the question, what intends to seek this changing? What are we looking after? After freedom? After happiness?
No, well, look, sir, I want to change. Because I want to live peacefully.
So
not
you're looking for peace?
Huh?
So you're looking for peace?
No. I see in myself this contradiction. Violence and the demand for peace.
So you want to change?
So I say I must change.
But to what?
That's it. If I change according to a pattern which I have created, then it's not change, right?
No, because we said that every time we are changing, there are things created we must again change from.
Yes. So I ask myself, is there a change? Is a change possible without a pattern? And I say to myself, why does the mind always create a pattern? Which is a concept, an ideology, a theology. Why? Because it says, as long as I have no pattern, I live in insecurity.
No, I don't think that's the reason.
But,
You said a concept itself is a pattern. We can just, and that's we can only think in patterns.
why?
Because the result of thinking is a concept.
Therefore,
Every result.
of course. So, thinking according to pattern, or thinking is pattern, and when thought says I must change, it is thinking in terms of change according to the pattern. And therefore it's not pattern, it's not change. Therefore, thought cannot bring about change. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're caught in your own logic.
I still, the trouble is that I disagree when you say that you can't, that changing in a different pattern is not change. That's the whole.
Of course, sir. Of course. I'm born in India with my pattern. I throw them over and take on your patterns, Christian pattern, or the communist pattern. So I'm functioning in patterns all the time. And I see that's not change at all. To which we both agreed just now.
Well, I said to you that the patterns are changed in that way, that there are now movements of pacifism which were not thinkable of about 2,000 years ago.
Oh, good Lord, sir, don't say that. There were the whole group of people called Brahmins in India, more than 2,000 years ago, who said, don't kill.
Well, Krishna said that as well, but...
But they lived it. No, please, forget it, doesn't matter. They lived it. Man has always sought peace. With one hand he sought peace, with the other hand he stabbed.
But so long as we are human beings with reason and with thinking, we can't change in the way we are looking for now.
That's right. That's the whole point. Thought, which is always old, isn't it? It's always old. Thought is never new.
What is it then more?
Thought is the response of your memory, isn't it?
Not only. It's one of the...
Then where is the other?
It's a process of abstracting.
Abstraction. But from what?
From the facts.
From a fact which is what? Recognizable by thought?
And so it's taken for itself.
So, thought is always old, and it creates a pattern, thinking it is new. Like the Russian Revolution. And makes man fit into that pattern. And man says, he accepts it, gradually begins to break it. This has been the process in history. French Revolution, Russian Revolution, the hundreds of revolutions that have gone on. So, if thought is old, then thought cannot change the way of life.
But thought can create new things.
How can it? How can it create new things?
Yeah, when you think that the thought is a creative thinking, creativity.
Can thought ever be creatively thinking? Can ever be creative?
No,
creative means something new.
Well,
and why is that not possible?
Every thought is new.
Every thought is new.
I mean, when you say thought is old, then you agree that every thought has its
background.
No, not its background, but the same that somebody anyway has thought us exactly the same thing.
No, sir. No, I don't mean that. Thought is the response of memory. Isn't it? And not well. It is. Otherwise, if you had no memory, you can't think.
No, but that's you can't
conclude.
You can't. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
you can't conclude when there is no memory.
Look,
There is
sir,
no thinking that you say.
watch
thinking-
yourself, sir. Go into yourself. You can see. It's not so very difficult. The memories, the experiences, the knowledge that you have, that when that is challenged, it responds in thought. That is the past.
Well, but the response can be new. The response on the past can be.
How
new.
can it be new?
Well, why can't it be? Why can the response on the past not be new?
How can it be, sir? When my thought is the response of memory, and memory is always the old, always the old. There is no new memory. I may add a new memory to it, but the moment
memory is old.
it's
But
old.
the response on the memory doesn't is necessarily is old.
If memory
is memory.
Of course, response is memory.
Response is memory.
Of course. Look, sir, look. I ask you where you live or what your name is. There's instant answer, isn't there? Because your memory responds immediate. But if I ask you a very little more complex question, there is a time interval, isn't there? In that time interval, memory is looking for the answer. Right?
But so you have a computer-like idea about brains.
No. It's not computer-like idea,
Yes.
but that's the actual state.
No, I don't think it is. When you ask the same question to different persons, you get different answers.
Because, wait.
Yes. No.
Yes, madam, that's perfectly true. Wait. That's perfectly true. I ask you where you live in a different
No.
state. Wait.
No, everybody has his own thoughts about it.
But which is what? Every person has a varied background. Your background is different from mine. Yours is whatever it is, and mine is whatever it is. And I respond according to that background. Otherwise, I cannot respond. Like a man who is in a state of amnesia. You know what amnesia is? Forgetfulness.
Amnesia.
He can't answer you.
Now we
But
see.
a person who is in a state of amnesia hasn't thought at all.
Sir, for the moment, he has no memory.
And so he has no thought.
He has no answer.
Well,
You ask him where he lives, he says, I don't know.
well, does that mean that he hasn't any thought?
I don't know, but
Well,
he may have thought, but he has no thought when you ask him a question where he lives.
well, I mean, but as long as you say, I don't know whether he has thoughts or not, but he hasn't, he can't answer my question. But as long as you are not completely sure that he hasn't any thoughts, you can't say that thinking is only a response of memory.
No, so forget the amnesia, man. Because you and I are not in a state of amnesia. But you can see that your own thinking, any form of thinking, is response of memory. No?
I want to, for example, take a picture. The man who has made it has learned much about making a picture. He has studied for many years, and then he creates something which is a new style, which is something very new.
Yes.
What is this
What has
new
taken-
thing?
What has
Is
taken
it-
place?
Yeah?
What actually has taken place? Man has studied for 10 years painting.
Yeah.
And then that is the background he has cultivated. What?
And he has a big memory and he responds with a new style.
Of course, it's a new style. Of course. It's not new.
That's a response to his memory.
Of course.
But there is created something new.
So it's new way of handling a brush. That's not what we are talking about. What we are saying is human beings have to change. Let's come back to that. Let's forget the artist and the amnesia man.
I like the artist.
So human beings have to change. And will thought change it? Thought, which creates a pattern, and changing according to a pattern, will that bring about a change? We said certainly not.
So now we see the way you are driving us, that is to forget and to break up all your memory.
No, I don't say that. No, it's not so simple as that.
Change that's not a response on your memory.
Yes, that's right.
That's your change.
That is when thought is in abeyance. You understand, sir? Is no longer active in the sense of trying to create a pattern. Then there is a possibility of change, which is not modification of what has been.
There is said that human thinking is human memory. I think human thinking is what we did learn about the relation between the different facts we have seen. You said human thinking is human memory.
No, I said, sir, thinking is the response of memory.
And I think human thinking is what we have learned about the relation between different facts.
Yes, sir, that's right.
And relation between facts will give a pattern. Yes. For example, an arithmetical relation between facts will give a pattern. Yes. A physical relation of facts will give a pattern. Dus all that we can do and all that we can think, we do that and we think that according to a pattern we have learned according to other patterns.
That's right, that's right. Perfectly right.
But how can you change yourself and then change the world of the society without?
That's it.
That's the question.
That is the real problem.
I don't believe that there isn't a possibility.
It's a find out. It's not saying believe or not believe. Let's find out. If man can only change according to patterns, move from this pattern to that pattern, then there is not change at all. That's like going from one prison to another prison.
That's to deal with you call change. Yes, when I have a blue cup of tea and a red cup of tea, it is the same cup of tea, but the color is other.
Yes, that's
another one.
That's all.
Yes. And is that a change or isn't it a change? I don't believe.
I don't think it's a change at all.
It's a change in color.
Yes, it's all.
Superficial.
It is superficial.
So we started out by asking, sir, if it is possible to radically, fundamentally change, not superficially.
Now, in one time. You have to change in one time. I think that's your meaning. And not you can't change immediately. You have to change immediately.
So wait. So what does it mean? What does time mean?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
When you say, I must change immediately, the immediacy implies time, doesn't it?
Means what?
Time.
Oh, time, yes, yes, yes.
So what is time? I say to myself, I am angry, I will change to a state tomorrow and not be angry, right? So that is the time interval, isn't it? During which I hope to change. No?
I thought the change you wanted
is immediate.
That's immediate.
Of course, must be. Otherwise it's not change at all.
I thought before it was a change in generations, in thousands of generations, and that was from one horizon to the other.
Yes.
To the other,
So, but therefore we haven't changed. Therefore, change must be immediate.
Yeah.
And can I change immediately my violence?
Not so long as we are here in this world.
Oh, but so when you say that, you have already it's finished. Then the question is over. When you say I can't change as long as I live here, all right, you can't change.
The importance of the change we can make.
Will?
The importance of the change we can make at this moment depends of the importance of the thing what we change. Yes, when I will change the society.
I didn't say that, sir. We'll go back. I'm not saying I must change society. I am society. The society is not different from it. I am the collective. And if I change, perhaps I may help to change the collective. And to change, it must be immediate. Otherwise it's in patterns. And therefore it's not change at all.
So you don't believe we can change by evolution?
We have lived 2,000 years, sir. Take it as it is. We have had wars. 5,000 years of war we have had historically, which is 15,000 wars.
Yeah, but the world lives hundreds of million years.
But I'm just taking that, sir. You may say I want to live in this life, having to kill and be killed. I don't want to live that way. I won't accept the pattern which man has set, which is war as way of life.
But isn't it possible that in millions years they won't kill?
Who?
It's in millions of years.
I don't know. I'm not concerned what happens in millions of years. I'm living now these 50 years, and that I want to see.
When society and man are so interrelated, and you said you can't change society, how can you change man?
I didn't. We go back to that same theme. Man is society. Man is what man has created the society in which he lives.
Well, when you talk about man in plural, but when you say man as a single person, the single person cannot change society.
I did
agree on that.
No, but what happens, sir, when the single man changes, he collects people around him because he is in relation.
But never the whole society.
We said that, sir.
Yes.
Society is all the time in conflict. at war, in contradiction. And a human being living in that society says, I must change, which means I will change, and perhaps I'll help to change the society. Look, sir, what did Lenin do? He wanted a certain change in society. He set about, he worked for it.
But then it was the whole society, in Russia, which was forced to obey that change, to live according to it. But when people are not forced, and society has such a strong influence on man,
yes, sir?
I think it's very hard and not impossible to change.
Oh, of course it's hard. Nothing is easy. It's tremendously hard. But one has to do it.
Can we, with our brains, know what happens after that immediately, suddenly changing has been? Or is it something that happens to us?
What side of quite get immediately?
Can we, with our brains and with our thinking, know what there is after that we have that immediately changing? Or is that something that happens to us?
Can we know what the change will be before changing?
Yeah.
After the change, what will happen after the change?
We have said there must be
Yes. He said, can we know?
Are we able to know what will happen or what the state will be after that change?
Change first and find out.
Then is now the question, that changing comes us from ourselves, or is it something that comes to us?
That means, are you influenced to change, influenced from the outside, or do you change from yourself? If you are changed from the outside, it is superficial, obviously. You'll put on instead of brown coat, you'll put on a red coat. And that won't solve the human problem. So it must be change without influence. Change without motive. Change without a pattern.
So, if someone opens this prison door, you still have to walk out yourself.
Of course.
But what you say here, isn't that a kind of influence to change first?
Yeah.
It's your inside, is it not an influence from my inside?
No, sir. I'm not influencing you to change. You yourself see the necessity and change. If I try to force you, influence to change, then I have set the pattern and you're merely following that pattern. And therefore it's not change.
No, it's not forced influence. Just
Yes, doesn't matter. What kind of influence? After all, 2,000 years of propaganda as a Christian has forced you to accept certain dogmas, certain beliefs. And if you say, no, I will not accept any influence, which is extremely difficult,
could you recognize and change those? If you would see and speak with those?
What importance has it? So what are you saying?
So that change, if I may ask, is it a changing to something universal that's for all the people the same, or is it a kind of changing to a better I or a better self?
Into a better self, you say?
Self.
I know, that's why I'm asking, into a better prison?
Well, that I don't know. If the better self is in a prison.
If the better self is in a prison, it is still in prison.
Yes, but if it is not?
So therefore find out by changing. You see, you are theorizing about all this.
Yeah. So that changing is something of myself, and nobody can share that.
No, I didn't say that, sir. When you say share, what do you mean by that word share?
So I can tell to other people.
Of course.
This
This is what's going on
and
here.
we can live in the same way.
This is what's going on here. You follow?
Yeah.
I am trying to share something with you. Right? In which there is no influence. I'm not trying to force you. I'm trying to share something with you. Now, when do you receive it?
But to share, trying to share something is influencing.
No, sir. To share. You know what it means to share? And when does that sharing take place?
When you have something in common.
Yes, which means what?
Which can mean that you did have already something in common, or that you get something in common. That means that you change in a superficial way.
No, sir. We are talking about sharing. You have something to share with me. When, how do I share it with you? Only when I am also equally interested at the same time, at the same level, in what you are interested. Otherwise I can't share it. You want to give me food. I say, sorry, I'm full. I won't share it with you. I must be hungry to receive what you're giving me.
But that's not the meaning of sharing.
Generally, sir, it's that to share implies both of us must be equally in a state where we can both receive and give.
And that without evil meanings.
Huh?
And that without evil meanings.
Yes, obviously.
Mr. Krishnamurti, you say that we have to change ourselves immediately.
No, not we have to. I mean, this is human beings. Unless one wants to live as one does, there is no right.
And when can you remember the moment in your life that you feel
Change.
something like change?
No, sir. No, sir. I saw something and changed. Not the moment I... You follow?
Yes, yes.
I saw it
It's
was
not possible
stupid.
to feel the moment you changed.
No, sir. I saw something as stupid, like, say, belonging to a particular society, particular community, and the seeing is the changing.
Oh, but we all see that the world isn't good.
Huh?
We all know that this world isn't good.
Yes, yes.
And we all have our intentions to make a better world. And when we see that this world isn't good, is there something changed in us?
So we all see the world not in terms of good or bad, but in terms of, let's say, violence. Right?
Yeah.
When you see violence, why do you partake in it?
Well, yeah, well, many reasons,
Because we are lazy, because we accept, because we are afraid, because it's easier to accept.
or we are we want to get happiness.
It's that same thing, sir. I don't want to be disturbed.
But the happiness we don't find alone.
You see, we are using words like happiness alone. One has to go into these words very carefully what it means. What does happiness mean? What does it mean to be alone?
Well, I say that because when we are thinking about this changing, we don't know exactly what we are thinking about. We don't know at that moment. It must happen to us.
Sir, no, we explained, sir, easy. We said first, society and man are inseparable, right? Man who has created society, man must change. And the change, according to a pattern, is no change at all. Intellectually we agree all this, but to do it actually. So, patterns are created by thought. And thought is always old. That's where the pill, it's hard to swallow that pill. We think thought is free and new and fresh and alive. It is not. So, if thought cannot change, bring about a change, what will?
Denken, ik kan dat dan wel.
Ja, dat is juist het waar we allemaal over zitten te denken. So we can't think about it.
You can think about it, but it doesn't mean anything. It's like a man saying, I must think about being good, being violent, not violent, but still, in the meantime, being violent.
Mr. Krishnamurti, can you say the difference between change and the superficial change?
I think that's fairly clear, isn't it?
How can you see the difference between change?
When I'm forced by circumstances being varied, subtle, when I'm forced by circumstances to change, I change this coat into that coat. That's very superficial. But to change fundamentally, the whole structure of my being, I have to go into it very, very deeply. Which means I have to consider the whole question of what change is. Whether the change is according to my desire, to my pleasure, then it's no longer change. Or whether it is according to my thought. And then again it's not change. So change can only take place when I understand the nature of pleasure and the structure of thinking.
A change which is very important for one person can be superficial for the other.
No. I mean, superficial for the other, if he is superficial. And most of us are superficial. We think we have changed tremendously if I change my coat. And that person who is also like me, superficial, sees but he has changed. But fundamentally change is not is something enormous. Eh?
We have said that our thinking is bound to memory. Isn't it good?
What do you say? This isn't what I say. What do you say?
We have all said this now.
Oh, good. That's all right.
We have come to that. Is our thinking now able to, wat is bevatten in het Engels?
Contain.
To contain this changing.
Will thinking ever be able to contain, this new
Conceive.
We have said that the thinking is bound to patterns, and when we changing that patterns, there we create new patterns. So is our thinking able to contain the changing?
Can the change be in thought?
Come on.
Can the change come in thinking?
Can the big change we are looking for
Can come through thinking?
in thought? Can we?
No, Moshe. I mean, I don't know what you mean.
comprehend change, comprehend freedom.
We are looking for the changing, for the deeply changing in what ourselves. But can we, with our thought,
conceive what that change is?
Yes.
No, we've been through that. You can't.
So we must not think about it.
No.
All the way.
No. You're making it too silly. You have exercised your brain, you have exercised your memory, you have exercised your thinking, seeing what change implies. No? No, I probably don't understand. I spoke too clear. So now, this afternoon for an hour, I must stop now, for an hour, we have exercised our brain, used our brain, used capacity to think, in relation to change. And we have discovered certain things. So thought, examining the problem of change, has seen the truth that any interference on its part is no change at all.
Oh, will you say that again?
I've forgotten. I don't know what I said. You repeat, sir.
When thought interferes with this question of change, then there's no change.
Yeah.
No, and also we said, we have exercised the brain to find this out. So thought itself says, by Jove, I mustn't interfere. Therefore thought becomes quiet. And then there is a change. We have, sir, look, I've always taken the path that goes north, thinking that is going to bring change. And suddenly I realize that path doesn't lead to change at all. And I stop. At the moment of stopping, I've changed.
Yeah.
Right, sir, I'm going to stop. No.